Hello and welcome to Pluribus Fireside Chats. Not as good as FDRs, but hey, it's something. Now, this episode is of course going to be a very interesting one, just based on the title. And this week's main series video will be an interesting one as well. I don't know when I'll be, because this is the first one where this is probably going to get finished before that episode gets finished, at least for this month. So I don't know if I'm going to reveal it quite yet, but you'll know what it is when it happens. I think I mentioned it at one point in the past. I just remembered I watched an old podcast of mine, and yeah, I did mention what it was going to be, and yeah, you guys are probably going to like it, I think. Anyways, with that out of the way, let's get right into the news. First, a new story coming from the country of Madagascar, because, for those who don't know, Madagascar had recently been going through weeks of youth protests over things like poverty, power outages, and a quote lack of opportunity in the Indian Ocean country. And the incumbent president, Andry Rajoelina, has been in a bit of a, he was a president that was kind of like a mixed, but I guess stagnation of his administration just didn't really live up to snuff. So, because as we mentioned, there was some protests that happened, and eventually, what ended up happening is that the Congress within him were actually basically, here's actually a long more story behind him, because apparently he actually got into a position based on a military coup. Basically, there was a guy named Mark Ravalomanana, who was the 6th president of Madagascar, who was accused of basically becoming an extremely authoritarian and corrupt president. And what ended up happening is Andry led a group of protesters in 2009, which inevitably led to the president at the time to leave. Mark left, and then Andry basically declared himself the head of a short-term transition period. And surprisingly, after that, Andry didn't immediately try to declare himself a junta leader. He instead actually stepped down for the time being, and then ended up running for president in 2018, ironically against Mark. And then in 2023, he ended up winning again, but that one was there was a bit more concerns with that one, and one of the big ones was the banning of all political rallies. And then I was wait, why would you ban every single political rally? Which led to some people to theorize, this is a bit suspicious. He promoted COVID misinformation, and as you could tell, as we've mentioned, he just clearly, the things that just happened just clearly did not. He just ended up becoming the guy who he replaced. So people were okay, that's a bit much. So due to these issues, his opposition, his Congress was hey, why don't we impeach him? And then basically it was a here and there situation where it's he was they're going to impeach me and they're going to do a coup against me. And then he was I'm going to preempt it by trying to make sure that things don't go awry. And then the military went so far as to cross the picket line and ended up joining the opposition to go against him. And basically, for the time being, the head of the military at the time, Colonel Michael Randiriani, I'm probably mispronouncing it, but he's basically declared himself the interim president for the time being. Another thing that people are pointing out about this specific coup and this specific replacement is that this is basically just the latest trend in something that people have dubbed the Gen Z protests. One of them we've already talked about on this channel before, the Nepal protests. That was the big one that a lot of people pointed to as a really big one. But there have been a ton of other ones and just broadly a lot of protests that have been kind of dubbed into this field. There were protests in Turkey that happened. There was the Timor-Leste protest. There was the Sri Lanka protest. There were protests in South Korea against Yoon Suk-yeol. There were Kenya finance bill protests. There were protests in Mongolia. There was the July Revolution in Bangladesh. There was a protest that began in, there was anti-corruption protests in Serbia. There was Philippine anti-corruption protests. The protests in Peru that are basically been going on for a while against Dina Boyarte. There was the Paraguayan protests that are going on, the Moroccan protests, Maldivian. There's like the Indonesian protests. There's protests that are going on in France against austerity, and currently there's also the general strike that Italian strikers are going against with the war on Gaza. Like some of these, many people point out, a lot of these protests have similar characteristics, but broadly they're not entirely the same thing. That's one of the only thing that is consistent with all of these protests is they're anti-authoritarian, they're anti-censorship, they're opposed to the current status quo in regards to the Great Recession and all that other stuff is kind of all the bad things that have been going on from that part and have finally reached a head. And they're all sort of just youth based. A lot of them even one of the big things that's even noted about a lot of these protests is that one major symbol that's been showing up at the protests is the Luffy flag from One Piece. The One Piece flag has been showing up to a lot of these protests. Broadly because Luffy is a pirate, and pirates are generally considered anti-authoritarian. And I mean, there's not much I can really say in regards to these, because some of these protests are some of these you have to look at most of these protests individually. Yes, you can see a trend in regards to these protests, but you also have to understand not all these protests are not 100% necessarily aligned in regards to their. Again, it's similar to just the idea of populism. Most of them are really united in their goals in opposing something, not really for something. But I guess the good that comes out of these protests will be good. But let's move on to the next story. And this is, of course, the ever-growing worry that we're going to go to war with Venezuela. And remember, this is coming from the same guy who's claiming that he is the anti-war president. Donald Trump is still trying to make the stupid claim that he's the anti-war president, making the claim that he has ended 8 wars, which is just unequivocally not true. I mean this in the most honest sense. All of the, that's one of the things. He just kept saying over and over again, I ended 8 wars, I ended 8 wars. That's just unequivocally not true in any sense of the word. It's not even a thing where it's oh, well, there's a technicalities, where it's no, there is no technicalities. Half of the stuff that he says he ended didn't end, and the other half don't exist. Donald Trump has made the claim that I ended 8 wars, and here are the 8 wars that he allegedly ended. Cambodia and Thailand, Kosovo and Serbia, DRC and Rwanda, Pakistan and India, Israel and Iran, Egypt and Ethiopia, Armenia and Azerbaijan, and Israel and Hamas. Egypt and Ethiopia were not in a war. Kosovo and Serbia were not in a war. Israel and Iran was started by the U.S. Israel and Hamas was started by the U.S. You don't get credit for cleaning the shit out of your pants. You don't get credit for that. Also, neither of them are ended. Israel and Hamas claim that there's a ceasefire, but Israel keeps bombing Palestinians. Cambodia and Thailand and Pakistan and India had literally no involvement with the United States whatsoever. And the DRC and Rwanda and Armenia and Ethiopia, they're still they're still in conflict with each other. Armenia and Azerbaijan, they haven't signed the deal yet, and the other one, they're still literally fighting. DRC and Rwanda, they are still fighting each other. There is no win. And it's the thing. This is the point. It's they're just gonna say that and they don't fucking care. They know this. They either know this or they don't know this. This is the problem. Republicans are just stupid. They live in their own alternate reality. That's the thing. The Republicans are just stupid and live in their own alternate reality. Facts do not exist for Republicans anymore. They do not understand the concept of facts anymore. And that is going to fucking destroy this country, because when half of the country literally just believes that a man did something that literally did not happen, it's just... Anyways, let's actually get to the story that we're talking about. Donald Trump is saying that the United States is going to go into war with Venezuela. And not he's not doing it in the abstract, drone warfare. No. He's basically just admitted, we're going to start attacking their land now. We're just actually going to start attacking Venezuelan land, right here. Donald Trump on Wednesday floated targeting Venezuelan drug cartels, quote unquote, with land strikes, an escalation from his administration's repeated strikes on boats out of the country. He tries to staunch the flow of drugs in the United States, and all that is just completely untrue. You just need to say this is untrue. Literally, there's no proof that any of the people that Donald Trump has attacked have any affiliation with any drug cartels. No proof whatsoever. Literally zero evidence that any of those people have done any of the crimes. And given the United States' track record in regards to all these drone warfares, it's just unequivocally, just obviously not what happened. The United States has done drone warfare for years now, and almost every single time that has happened, we always find out later there wasn't a belligerent. There was literally like, remember the WikiLeaks scandal where he like literally revealed like a ton of fucking like stuff, and then it was just like, oh yeah, this person was literally just a guy holding a camera, and the US killed them. And yes, given the fact that the United States, again, I have no faith in anything that the Trump administration has ever said. I have no faith. I do not believe a single fucking word that they say. Remember, these are the same fucking dipshits that will literally just point blank tell you, there is no Epstein files. We ended 8 wars. Prices are going down. Like, he's just lying to you. He's literally just unequivocally lying to you. It's the same administration that just randomly goes like, oh yeah, this guy admitted that he was an illegal immigrant. It's like, why in the ever-living fuck would a person lie about being an illegal immigrant? In no world does that make any sense. This person is 100% verifiably proven to not be an illegal immigrant. And yet you're claiming that they admitted to you that they were. Unequivocally lies, unequivocal bullshit, unequivocal, you're a liar. And in fact, one of the boats that was literally being sailed that Donald Trump destroyed wasn't even Venezuelan. It was from Trinidad and Tobago. And this is the funniest part. They have literally no reason to attack Nicolas Maduro. Like, quite literally. They have literally no reason to attack Nicolas Maduro. You want to know why? Because their claim that Nicolas Maduro needs to be targeted is that he was tried in a court of law by the United States. But the United States does not recognize international courts due to the fact that they keep inviting fucking Benjamin Netanyahu to the United States to give speeches. So why does Maduro have to listen to anything that we fucking say? You guys set the precedent that world laws don't matter. So there's nothing you can do to counteract anything that Nicolas Maduro does. And another reason why this is bullshit is because it's been reported that literally Nicolas Maduro has tried to give the United States literally everything they want. Because literally, there was a plan that was floated by the United States and Venezuela that literally called for an explicit plan to get rid of Maduro. It was literally like an explicit plan where like Maduro would step down in around 3 years and then hand off the like administration to his vice president, Delcy Rodriguez, who would complete Maduro's current term that runs until January of 2031. And then she would not be allowed to run for another term. Like, she wouldn't be allowed to run. And then that would be how it would work. Basically, it would officially be like, Maduro's not in power anymore. Then the last minutes of his administration would be gone by that point. And then Venezuela would have a new future. And that's the thing that just, guys, I just gotta be real. Like, let's just get into like a lot of obvious things. One, of course, 100%. I guess I have to say it because some people will like take this out of context if I don't say it. Yes, the 2024 presidential election of Nicolas Maduro was 100% real. Like, no fucking shit. Like that is like the unequivocal obvious thing. It was reported by the Carter Center, who was invited by PSUV themselves to do this. Be that as it may, there's a lot of things that we need to understand about the Venezuelan presidential election system, and it's just so obvious that the big boogeyman they're trying to make just doesn't exist. Because in almost every single fathomable way, they've tried desperately to appeal to people. Guys, people don't remember. In 2018, they literally floated Nicolas Maduro not running in that election because they were worried that he would lose the election. If the elections are so massively rigged, why do they have to consider that fact? And also, why would Nicolas Maduro be so ready to give up power to keep his country afloat? Like, why is this? If he's like this big boogie scary man that like is completely 100% fully in control of Venezuela and there's no like pushback for his power whatsoever, then why would these factors even be remotely considered? Moreover, if those are your actual legitimate concerns with the nation, why would you not then accept the deal and then move forward? And the reason why is because they don't care. They just want to kill Maduro and they want to take over the country. That's what they want to do. That's what they want to do because they're blood hungry, like fucking degenerate monsters. Donald Trump's a warmonger who is going to put America last, and you all voted for that. And this should not be any remotely Like, this shouldn't be anything remotely controversial to even hear or say if you knew anything about what Donald Trump did during his first term, because one of the big things he wanted to do was go to war with Venezuela. You either admit that you were too stupid to pay attention to what happened in Donald Trump's first term, or that you knew and you completely ignored it. Either way, you look like an idiot. Speaking of idiots, the young Republicans have revealed themselves to not only be idiots, but also just flat out, just unequivocally, like, terrible people. And before anybody wants to say anything, this is not to be confused with college Republicans. See, college Republicans is a group of, like, Republicans in college. Young Republicans is an organization that is for every single member of the Republican Party between the ages of 18 and 40. And many of the people who were, like, doing these fucking disgusting messages were literally people who were not in the lower end of that field. They were my age and older. So, yeah. And they said a lot of things that, whew, like, literally, oof. These are very, very, very bad things. Them saying that they love Hitler, that they want to put everyone who does not vote for Donald Trump in a gas chamber, that if they wanted to see monkeys play ball, they would go to the zoo. Copious amounts of anti-Semitism, and, like, just unequivocally, just, like, again, like, civility politics is over. Like, guys, you gotta be real. Civility politics is over. Like, there are a lot of things I can say. One, the alt-right is no longer alt. It's mainstream. Like, it is. It's just mainstream now. The mainstream of the Republican Party now is that they're just fascists. That's just the truth. If you're a Republican in the year 2025, you are either a fascist or you are too comfortable with them. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. And also, to just point this out, even though, again, they don't care. Like, I can bring up, like, oh, the hypocrisy, but, like, they don't care. They don't care about the hypocrisy. They know the hypocrisy. They don't care. They don't care. These are the same people that wag their fingers about Jay Jones when he's like, oh, how could Jay Jones post these hateful, disgusting comments in private? Meanwhile, it's like, oh yeah, literally every single fucking, like, young Republican had a Telegram text group where they were just openly talking about, like, mass genocide. But yeah, we gotta wag our fingers at Jay Jones. Zohran Mamdani is, like, saying these evil, nasty, disgusting, anti-Semitic things and trying to turn the United States against our Western values. Meanwhile, you guys are just openly being like, concentration camps, Jews can't be honest. like, the obvious disconnect is obvious. And that's the thing, like, guys, I just want to be real. Like, a lot of people like to still, like, because this happened again. Like this happened again. Like Graham Plattner just got, like, a fucking, like a bunch of his old fucking Reddit messages got leaked, like, a little bit ago, because, you know, Democrats kind of want to, like, trying to ruin his chances. And then it's like, oh, he said some, like, slightly weird thing, like, 13 years ago. It's like, literally yesterday or so, the young Republicans just openly were, like, saying they wanted to put all the people that they hate in gas chambers. And it's like, no offense, I kind of don't care that Graham Plattner said, like, a slightly cringe thing 13 years ago. Like, for real, kid gloves are off. Like you guys, like the Republicans who are getting super mad at, like, the fucking, like, people like AOC and, like, all these other people are like, oh, well, these guys are so mean. It's like, guys, those were the nice people. Just wait till the mean people show up. And the response is just overwhelmingly just shows the unequivocal, like, yeah, it just shows that this is just, yeah, there is no point. There's no point in calling this out. There's no point in doing this because they don't care. Like, literally, most of, not all of the Republican response to this controversy is that they genuinely don't care. Like, one of the top things that was posted by all these, like, fake fucking, like, conservative accounts, or, like, I guess reactionary accounts, like again, I gotta remember, they're not conservatives, they're reactionary. Like, I gotta remember that. But, like, a lot of the top responses is that they literally say, and I quote, I don't care about these leaks. And then they'll post, like, a picture of, like, something that, like, allegedly is supposed to, like, be a gotcha. Like, they'll post, like, fucking, like, a picture of Charlie Kirk, or they'll post a picture of fucking, like, the Irina who got, like, killed. Like, it'll be like, it's like, oh, I don't care about those leaks when this happens. Like, well, guess what? I don't fucking care about Charlie Kirk's neck leak. I don't care. Fuck you. I don't care. And then conservatives, when they hear me say that, they're gonna start crying like little fucking coward bitches. That's what they're gonna fucking do. Because that literally happened. Like, someone literally posted, like, I saw this on Twitter where it's like, some person literally posted a picture. Like, they literally, like, they went to a trans person's DMs and then literally told them to kill themselves. That's literally what they did. They posted a picture of, like, that, like, there's like a famous picture of like a trans teenager that like killed themselves, and then like the conservatives like reactions keep making like the same fucking like joke about it, like posting that picture and be like, and it's like, by the way, we're also supposed to pretend to give a shit about like their fucking like stupid loser people. Like, we're supposed to be like, oh no, Charlie Kirk got his neck blown out. We're supposed to pretend to care about that when they do that every fucking day. But then literally they post that, and then the trans person made like literally just responded with, wow, you're such a fucking dick, no wonder your wife left you. And they immediately went like, how dare you even bring that up? I have to go through this life and have to raise 2 kids on my own because my wife is... Dude, you literally just told them to commit suicide. You don't get to have any sort of moral high ground. Go fuck yourself. Like, you guys made the bed. You guys were the ones that got mad at lefties who spent all day long doing the civility politics to make you feel better. But guess what? That ain't happening no more. The gloves are off. I don't fucking care anymore. You made the bed, now you go fucking lie in it. Anyway, speaking of making a bed and lying in it, let's talk a little bit about the Massachusetts Senate race. Well, the Massachusetts Senate race is getting into a little bit of a contention because something has happened that finally made something like, oh wait, this is actually a big, interesting thing. Congressman Seth Moulton has announced that he will be running in the seat. He will be primarying incumbent Senator Ed Markey. Now, there's some build-up to explain about the history. You guys probably already know it, but the TLDR is that Seth Moulton is one of the most prominently, like, I guess technically centrist, as he claims he's a centrist. Like, technically he's like a centrist Democrat. Like, he's one of the mainstay like centrist Democrats. Like, it's one of his big spiels when he first ran for office in general, and it's kind of like been like his main thing. Like, I'm the moderate guy. I'm like the middle of the road. Like, blah blah blah. I'm this guy. I'm this guy. I'm this guy. Nah. Meanwhile, for those who don't remember, Ed Markey is the incumbent senator who made like a huge stink when he first ran, but like when he ran, like he won in a special election like in 2013, and then in 2020 he made like a really big splash because he was getting primaried by Joseph Kennedy III, and he basically had to spend that entire campaign trying to reinvent himself to basically make it be like, okay, well, I gotta prove that I'm actually the good candidate and he's not the good candidate, because the same thing happened in that race where like Joe Kennedy was basically running on like, look, me and Ed Markey, we're kind of similar ideologically, but the fact of the matter is, he's just a really old guy. We kind of need like we need new faces in the Democratic Party. And basically he spent that entire time trying to reinvent himself to be like, I'm the cool young hip guy actually. And it seems like this race is also going to try and build on that similar like strategy. Now, there's actually a long-standing theory about the old race, about the previous race that I felt was like very interesting. Okay, let me just explain this, because here's what the theory in my mind was at the time. Okay, so at the time, Elizabeth Warren was running her presidential bid in 2020. We all know that. Markey, Ayanna Pressley, and Joe Kennedy III all endorsed her bid. Ironically, Seth Moulton didn't endorse her bid because he was running a failed campaign of his own. But basically, here's what it seems like the idea was. Elizabeth Warren, like the ideal scenario for all of them would have been if Elizabeth Warren won the nomination. That way their endorsement wins and Elizabeth Warren gets to be the Democratic nominee, and, you know, best case scenario, she becomes president. The idea seemed to be that in that mindset, she would resign, and then a special election would be called to fill her seat. And the idea would be that Ayanna Pressley would basically be the go-to person to fill in the seat, because Ayanna Pressley is basically like a Warren alumni. Catherine Clark and Lori Trahan could have also ran, but it seems like the ideal choice would have been Ayanna Pressley, because the idea is sort of like, after Elizabeth Warren, it's like, now it's time to get like an extra brownie point in regards to like representation and doing that. So the idea would be, okay, but like, what happens with Ed like that would mean that Joe Kennedy doesn't get to be in that seat. Like, the idea was that Joe Kennedy and Ayanna Pressley were kind of like the two perceivable candidates to like be like, they want to be in the Senate seats. So it seems like then Joe Kennedy was like, okay, I'm gonna run in Markey's seat and challenge him because, I'm not really gonna get any other chance. like thinking, like, especially thinking like, oh, Ed Markey, you know, he's like this kind of know-nothing senator, and I'm like literally like the son of the fucking Kennedy, so I could kind of easily win. And that didn't really turn out so well because, again, Ed Markey was able to reinvent himself, you know, get the endorsements of like some of the younger lefties like AOC and other people, and basically like, hey, that ended up working out in his favor. But the question then comes, why is Seth Moulton running in this race? Well, Seth Moulton says, for a very similar reason with Kennedy, you know, Ed Markey's too old. I don't think he's like claiming that him and Markey are very close ideologically, because it's clearly not true, but one of the big things that is also of note in regards to Seth Moulton's run is the fact that Seth Moulton was actually one of the top targets in the U.S. House for a primary bid. Because Seth Moulton, in the immediate aftermath of 2024, basically did the same thing, basically did the, like, you know, typical liberal spiel, like, oh, you see, the problem with what happened was that we actually leaned too far to the left in the 2024 race, and everyone's like, what the fuck are you actually fucking talking about, you fucking troglodyte idiot? What are you talking about? He basically said, like, well, I mean, Kamala Harris did go a little bit too far in regards to, you know, trans issues, and it's like, no, she did not at all. You're lying. You're a fucking loser. And now we're primarying you now. And like basically a bunch of people were like, yeah, we're like a bunch of people, just a bunch of like somewhat prominent people in Massachusetts races just started lining up to primary him. And it's like, yeah, Moulton was probably on his way out. So he's just like, I mean, might as well go for broke and try to run for Senate. But now one thing that people might point out is like, why is Seth Moulton so like believing that he can win this time? Like, why is he so confident that he could win when fucking Joe Kennedy III didn't? Well, that's because of a little bit of funny trickery about Seth Moulton in the past. You see, Seth Moulton, this isn't his first rodeo in regards to, like, running to the right of a candidate, but campaigning as if you're the lefter candidate purely because of your age. That's actually how Seth Moulton got in the United States House of Representatives in the first place. He primaried a left-wing candidate named Joe Tierney, or like a progressive candidate named Joe Tierney. And basically said, like, look, he's an old man. I'm the young, strapping, young candidate. So clearly, I'm the better choice in this race. And many people pointing out, okay, 2026 is clearly going to be there's clearly a large wave of people who are running with that sort of mentality, especially with the aftermath of Joe Biden's, like, big oopsies, and, you know, Dianne Feinstein's big oopsie. Like, people are basically like, yeah, it's time. Like, even regardless of like the idea of like, oh, dementia or whatever, people are actually just like, okay, it's time just generally for a new clean slate of candidates. And people are not necessarily as confident in Ed Markey as they were in the previous one. And that also stems from the fact that there was like one poll that was released in the immediate aftermath of the announcement, and it shows Seth Moulton easily winning against Ed Markey. That could again be because, you know, again, early like polling, but again, people are just like, I don't know. They're a little bit too cautious, which is why, fun enough, in the aftermath of this race, they went so far as to literally just say, instead of actually like calling to get like, oh, like let's get like a let's bring up energy to get Ed Markey back in the Senate. The top thing that people have been saying is that Ed Markey needs to drop out of the race and give Ayanna Pressley his endorsement. Because they just don't want any ifs, ands, or buts in this election. They're just like, no. Let's just get a new candidate in the field. They want no ifs, ands, or buts in regards to this. And it's actually another reason why people are a little bit like interested about this. You see, in like Massachusetts is a deep blue state, and it has 9 Democrats in the like House. You know, Richard Neal, Jim McGovern, Lori Trahan, Jake Auchincloss, Catherine Clark, Seth Moulton, Ayanna Pressley, Stephen Lynch, and Bill Keating. And the only ones that have made endorsements, and the only ones of the House representatives that have made endorsements in this race are Clark, McGovern, and Neal, all of them endorsing Ed Markey. Moulton, of course, is not going to announce an endorsement because he's one of the candidates. Now, Ayanna not being one of the endorsements is interesting, because since Ayanna would be Ayanna is very much in the same vein of Markey. So the fact that she's not endorsing him is a bit of a noted. The other candidates that I can see, Achinclose, Lynch, and Keating, I think would probably be more solidly aligned with Moulton. And Trahan, I think ultimately Trahan would probably be more in line with Markey, but I think she's waiting for Ayanna. I think the point is I think most of them are kind of waiting on Ayanna to see what she does. But another thing that's actually very interesting about this race is the fact that Seth Moulton has made the stunning announcement, very early on in the race, that he will be returning every single dollar that he has gotten from AIPAC and will no longer be taking any AIPAC money in the race. And that's just, that is also another reason why I think maybe there's a little bit more of a concern for this race. Moulton, as mentioned before, he's kind of the king of pretending to be what he's not. So clearly he's making an effort to try and appear more in line with a traditional Democrat than he would normally be prior. So I'm just saying, keep an eye on this race, especially if if you guys know anything about this race, maybe if you guys know anything about Markey, maybe call him up and be like, hey, Markey, maybe it's time to pass in the torch. But also, look, I like Markey. Markey's fine, as you remember. If you remember anything about this channel, I definitely got into a little bit of a controversy in the previous Massachusetts Senate race because of Joe Kennedy. But the fact of the matter is, just generally, I think it's just Markey shouldn't be here anymore. I mean, look, we can't at one end say we need to we need a new face of young Democrats, and then also say oh, by the way, this 80-year-old guy, we keep him around. It's I'm just saying, yeah. I mean, clearly it's not necessarily an age thing 100% for it, but yeah. And the last news story also comes from the, running in regards to, upcoming races and, changing tides in the Democratic Party. And it comes from the fact that there is some trouble brewing in the current runnings in regards to the House Democratic leader, because, okay, as we all know, Hakeem Jeffries is currently the House Democratic leader, and, ideally, the idea would be just traditionally more Democrats equals more, chances of him winning. But Axios decided to do a little interesting experiment where they reached out to 113 House Democratic candidates, particularly challengers, and they asked them the very simple question: would you vote for Hakeem Jeffries or not? And of them, only 31 said that they would lean yes. A lot of the other ones, 25 of them flat out, 20 of them flat out said just absolutely no. Wait, what? Why do they have Jose Vega? Okay, well, this is wrong. They have Jose Vega on this list, and Jose Vega is not a Democrat. Unless he's running as a Democrat this time, but he's that LaRouche candidate. But 25, I guess 24 of them say no, and 57 of them were basically I don't. They basically it seems like they're very much they're here and there, it's a difference. It's a lot of things, and most of the no people literally cite the same thing, hey, we can't claim that we'll support you, Hakeem, when you can't even support your own fucking nominee in your own fucking city. We're either a united front or we're not. You can't have it both ways, Hakeem. And yeah, that's the big thing. It's if you they expect us to bend the knee to them when they won't bend the knee to us. So it's okay then. If you're gonna be like that, then don't do it. If I was a House candidate, I would just say no. I'm not voting for Hakeem Jeffries. I would never vote Hakeem Jeffries. For real, I could be the deciding vote and then literally just say no. Just say I'm not voting for you. You'd have better luck getting one of the Republicans to flip. But this is the thing. A lot of people who ran for House Democratic candidates in 2018 blue wave, they also said that they wouldn't vote for Nancy Pelosi. Sure enough, a lot of them end up doing it anyways. So will this matter much? I don't know. especially if they don't really have a candidate to do it. Like, I mean, at this point, I just gotta be real. At this point, I would love to have a left-wing candidate or even a progressive candidate run against Hakeem Jeffries, but at this point, literally, anybody else, like, literally, if you're just like, I will spend tooth and nail fighting the Trump administration, then yes, gladly, take the nomination. I even went so far as to say, like, if I was a House candidate running, I would definitely go to be like, hey, AOC, want to be House Speaker? Rashida, Ilhan, Chewy, any of you guys? Like, I'd go to them first, but then on the list, the person who would still be on my list, but I would put him on the bottom, Pat Ryan. I'd be like, Pat, listen to me, Pat, my man, listen to me. I don't like you that much. I don't like your record. You're a moderate loser, whatever. You promised that you're gonna you say you want to fight Donald Trump. Okay, all right. And you acknowledged the big problem of the Democratic Party back when they were like, let's tout Jerry Connolly over AOC. You acknowledged that problem at the time. So you had our back before. We can have your back this time. Will this be a permanent solution? Probably not. There's probably a chance that I'm going to be finding somebody to run against you when you don't do good. But hey, if you do good, maybe it might take a while for me to find a guy. But anyways, with that out of the way, let's move on to the main topic of this video. And yes, this topic is going to be slightly not necessarily political per se. It's going to be about philosophy in general, particularly the philosophical school of nihilism. Particularly because the term nihilism has been talked about a bit more recently, not necessarily just through like some of the most bad parts of it, but also just like it's kind of like a thing that's kind of generally been talked about a lot recently. And since a lot of people are discussing about it, I figured maybe it's time we use this time to like discuss a little bit about the philosophy of nihilism. But before we get into that, I'm going to make one thing absolutely perfectly clear. I am not by any means a student of philosophy. And due to that fact, I felt that I needed to do a little bit more than just, some glances on the wiki pages or whatever, or doing IDR labs quizzes or whatever, to get a bit more in depth about this particular philosophy, especially considering this particular subject is pretty well known for being misinterpreted by a lot of people. So I decided that for this video specifically, I would actually listen to an audiobook that detailed the history and the ins and outs of the ideas of nihilism, which is called Nihilism, The Philosophy of Embracing the Void by Hector Davidson. And it was basically to give me some ideas to go along with my usual research. Like, I did also the other stuff alongside it. I didn't just listen to this book and then just go, okay, I can figure it out from here. No. I did research alongside the book. But I just want to say this I just want to say this right now. If I say something that makes you go, well, that doesn't sound like you quite get nihilism at all, blame Hector, not me. But if you go, well, hold on, I actually read his book, and clearly you misunderstand what your misunderstanding comes from your research beyond this book. Oops. Oh well, yeah. I probably will get some aspects of this wrong because it's coming from my interpretation of this thing. And it's one of the big things that you need to understand about a lot of things. Because a lot of people like to say this, like, you don't understand this thing or you don't quite get this thing. It's like, yeah, but that's also another thing. It's like, some of these things are made to be a bit more of an abstract thought. Well, not necessarily abstract thought, but like more like, it's a philosophy. It's more of a philosophy is kind of like more of like seen as like the thinky things, like it's that Peter Griffin joke where it's like, my grandfather was a philosopher. Peter, get a job. Why? But before we get into any of that, I think we need to address the first thing. We just need to go with the most basic question for this episode. What is nihilism? But in order to do that, we have to get a brief understanding about what philosophy is. So, most schools of philosophy try to answer the major question about what is the meaning of life. That's basically what the school of philosophy is, to an extent. And nihilism is a philosophy that can be summed up in 3 simple words. Life is meaningless. It's part of the philosophical family of existentialism, which is basically the broader school of thought of humans searching for the meaning of life in a world that seemingly has no meaning, with the thinker that is most associated with both of those philosophies being Friedrich Nietzsche, with some of his most well-known quotes and ideas being intrinsically linked to those philosophies, such as the term Übermensch, or overman, or superman, to even the quote that is the most associated with him, God is dead. One big element of Nietzsche's works is that he thought that when the current world order at the time would fall, the church, the state, etc., when the current moral, foundations of a society would fall, because that was what the term God is dead. So he's of course, he doesn't mean in the literal, we killed God, but in the sense, human science and philosophy has come to the point where God has kind of lost all credibility and all meaning in society. But the question that he posed was okay, but if that's the case, what now? What happens now? What takes place? And even goes so far as to be something needs to take its place. Otherwise, our society is doomed. As quoted by him in his book, Twilight of the Idols, when one gives up the Christian faith, one pulls the right to Christian morality out from under one's feet. This morality is by no means self-evident. By breaking one main concept of Christianity, the faith in God, one breaks the whole. Nothing necessary remains in one's hands. Basically, now that God and church are losing control in society, what do we do now when all the rules that we were following because, quote-unquote, he said it, what do we do now, with all those rules? Do we throw those rules out and then just go crazy? Or do we, what do we do now? It's basically a similar, concept to, when the Christians said, where's your moral barometer, atheists? But he's posing it on the on the question for the atheists. Yeah, what now? What do we do now? With other philosophical works that he does, basically going well, the whole point of the Superman or the Overman or the Übermensch is that now he is not shackled by the restrictions of religion. Now he can build the philosophical. He can build he can build his own life. What meaning his life has. He has to build the new values for society. Now, this may be a little bit of a surprise to some of you, but I'll be honest, I'm not exactly too into philosophy. Well, aside from political philosophy, but even then, I'm also pretty critical of the just read theory mindset. I'm a bit more interested in praxis than theory, I guess you could say. And the reason was that philosophy was kind of more of an analysis of the metaphysical world, and some of those things that some philosophers say can be a little complicated and can border on some religious elements that sound a little weird to me. Of course, philosophy and religion are not one-to-one, but some of the earliest philosophical mindsets, if I remember correctly, are basically just the purpose of life is to do good, holy things for God or whatever. And to give it another example, let's take the most legitimate philosophy that everybody loves and respects, objectivism. It says things like reality is separate from consciousness. And I'm just sitting there, I have a funny video where I did the top 10 things I'll never do, and it's one of them was a video on objectivism, and I literally don't know what that means. To me, that just those are questions that just don't really need to be answered. Not necessarily. Because to me, I guess shock of all shocks. I guess if you didn't know, I guess I'll spoil it here. I am in fact one of those newfangled atheist types. So the belief of a broader cosmos or a broader metaphysical being or spiritual being or that kind of stuff. That kind of stuff just doesn't register to me. To me, that's just these are nonsense questions. At least stuff like political philosophy deals with the real world and it's a philosophy of how you can, and it's philosophy is a way too broad of a term to an extent. It's my personal philosophy or this actual school of philosophical thought, and then there's political philosophy. It's a little. You get it. You get what I'm saying, right? You get what I'm saying. Even if you're like into philosophy, you could probably be like, okay, I see where this guy's like. I see why it took this guy a little bit longer to do some broader research into philosophy. And again, some of those like some of the philosophical things came off similar to like religious idealism to me, and I've believed in religious idealism since I was 11 years old. So, like, I don't believe in like this big deep meaning. There's no guy upstairs keeping score about like good or bad, and by that notion, it's just like, yeah, I guess I just was a de facto nihilist. Like, I mean, I guess that's really just like, I guess that is one thing I did say, like, when I read, like, would not, like, I mean, I don't necessarily, I wanted to, like, I think, to me, there was, like, a difference between the term, like, life is meaningless and life has no meaning to me, but I guess, I don't know, I guess that's just a misinterpretation or something, because, yeah, it seems like those terms are basically synonyms, so it's like, I guess it's just, like, I became a de facto nihilist. And, given the fact that you guys might be like, oh yeah, but like you talk about how you like used to like the skeptic community on YouTube. That makes sense. And it's like, yeah. It's one of the main jokes about nihilism. It's like, oh, once someone starts reading nihilism, they become like edgy teenage atheists. And it's like, to me, I guess it was backwards. I became an edgy teenage atheist, and then I became a nihilist. But one day I was bored, and I decided to take some IDR Labs quizzes about philosophy, and I might include the pictures of them in this video, I might not. I might post them like in the community tab when this episode comes out or whatever. That'll probably be like where they end up. But like, if you see them, and I try to take them again recently, but like, no, I like these ones are better because these are the ones that are like, I actually took some like big decent effort to like actually do them. But like one of the quizzes was basically like literally like a thing where it's like, what is your philosophy? And it showed like 8 schools of philosophical thought. And I got a statistical tie between nihilism and existentialism. So I guess like de facto existential nihilism is my philosophy, I guess. At least in this specific world of philosophy. And, but taking another quiz shows like I took I took some other quizzes, and like the other quizzes are like basically like, how do you agree with certain philosophers? And it's like, I guess more existential philosophers are the ones where I agreed with the most. Like I forget the exact name of the person that I agreed with. Again, it'll be posted in the fucking community tab, so you'll see who it is. But like there's one like leftist like philosopher woman who was like a existentialist, like. She's the one I agreed with the most of all of them, and ironically, despite the fact that, I was like an existential nihilist, I didn't agree with the so-called founder of nihilism or existentialism, Nietzsche. I mean, I've read bits and segments of some of his stuff, and, I'm pretty sure as I mentioned before, I'm pretty sure the skeptic community might have had some Nietzsche quotes here and there between quoting Dawkins and posting their favorite hitch slaps, but like most philosophy, his stuff does make you think. But I'm sure if I go in depth, I might find some more critical things that I might, like, I'm pretty sure there had to be reasons why me and him don't have a broad ideological agreement in the quiz. So, yeah. I'm pretty sure if I went in depth about all the things that he's written over the course of his lifetime, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot of things that he says. I'm going to be like, well, I don't necessarily agree with this, or I don't necessarily agree with that, or blah, blah, blah. But, yeah. I'll gladly voice my disagreements. I mean, like a lot of political figures that I like that I voice my disagreements with, and this would be no different. Now, there's actually another element about me that you might be a little confused about, because one of the big things that you might say is like, well, you don't seem like a nihilist. Don't nihilists think that like everything is meaningless and we might as well just sit down and give up? Well, no. I gave you the definition of nihilism earlier in the episode, and by that definition, I fit 100% of the time. Like, there's the, of course, misinterpretation of nihilism, where that is what is perceived to be like the thing. Like, I guess it's like the thing that Nietzsche predicted would happen if the world didn't build like the values to replace, Christianity and the like. But the fact of the matter is, to me, being a nihilist is kind of just accepting reality for what it is. There's nobody who's going to go magically save us. There is no guy upstairs keeping track of our good deeds and bad. And there's no guarantee that justice will prevail. That's just a fact. The other philosophical school of thoughts might think like, oh, well, eventually things are going to catch up to them. But it's like, no, that's not happening. Especially lately, that's abundantly clear about what's happening. The fact that Trump and Bibi are not in an international criminal court courtroom on their knees begging for mercy is proof that clearly things aren't working as good as they should. The fact that a man who hasn't worked a day in his life is literally on his way to become a trillionaire is proof enough. The fact that some of the largest pundits in the United States' politics just openly lie to their audience is proof enough. Like, we think, oh, well, good things happened in the past, so good things must be coming for us in the future. But no, we had to actually fight for the good things to happen in the past. We didn't get there for no reason, and that's the point. Like, as the book that I said that I audio listened to, they explain that some elements of, like, the Russian Revolution, like the October Revolution, while it wasn't, like, 100% inspired by the Russian nihilist movement, there was overlap between the Russian nihilist movement and the Bolshevik Revolution, because many people saw that Russian society was shitty, and they're like, this is shitty. Let's fight to change the society we live in. And we can't pretend that our society is not shitty, so we have to actively work towards a better one. And I think that's part of the reason why people kind of want you to kind of misunderstand that. Because, I mean, some of it is obviously just like, you know, just a general misunderstanding, but some of it is probably like, you know, intentional to an extent. Like I mean, misunderstanding nihilism and the thinkers associated with it and, like, the actions of the people who do it, like, it's very clearly, like, common. It's, like, super common to, like, misunderstand nihilism. Similar to, like, other forms of misunderstanding and things that are, like, somewhat tertiarily affiliated with it, you know, like atheism and other, like, superficial things, like emo music, you know, all of them are kind of, like, generally, like, thrown in the same camp and, like, kind of, like, just, like, thrown into, like, this same thing. Like, in doing research for this video, I was literally, like, looking up, like, YouTube videos on nihilism, and then one of the thumbnails of a video of nihilism literally called it, like, the most dangerous idea in philosophy, and it's just like, really? When people hear things like nihilism or like emo music or like all atheism, like when they hear it, they go like, man, those words must be like really depressing or something. That's sad. I mean, it must suck living like that. And then in doing so, like, they push that idea onto you. Like, you know, nihilism is like emptiness and like sadness and like and like blah blah blah. And like then it kind of pushes people to like do like shady things. Like, one of the big things now is like there's the government term now of like a group of violent extremists called like nihilistic violent extremists, and it's basically just like the term they use for every single violent person in like that does a violent crime that has nothing to do with any sort of like political or religious motivation. Yes, we're going to use this term to identify people who have no ties to any sort of major like big movement or philosophy in the world. And we're going to do it by stapling a philosophical label onto them. And it's like, really? Now, to be clear, some of these people could obviously have nihilistic, like, beliefs. But it's like, again, they probably wouldn't have, quote-unquote, nihilistic beliefs if, you know, certain things were changed in society that would actually be beneficial to the world. You know, it's like the thing. It's like, they see the world as it is. The sad truth, a lot of them is like, a lot of the sad truth is literally just like, when you see a world where, again, a guy makes trillions of dollars based on doing nothing, and you're supposed to expect him to like not be nihilistic in any capacity? Maybe if the world was a better place, then this kind of bad, violent actions wouldn't happen? And again, like, it's society pushing, like, you're supposed to feel something about this. You're supposed to feel this way. Like, I don't feel like that in regards to any of those things I stated previously in regards to, like, you know, atheism, nihilism, or emo music or whatever. Like, I don't feel any of the things that they say I'm supposed to feel. Slightly off topic, but my favorite song in the world, like literally my favorite song in the world, you're gonna like laugh and call me cringe for it, but my favorite song in the world is Bring Me to Life by Evanescence. Yes, that song. The song that's in like every single fucking AMV in the world. That song is my favorite song in the world, like in the history of the world, ever. That's my favorite song. And every time someone catches me listening to it, every time somebody, like, it'll be on the radio at one point, I'm like, oh, turn this up, I love this song. And every time that happens, every single person tells me, oh, that song is so depressing. Are you emo? Are you goth or whatever? Are you, like, cutting yourself or whatever? Are you doing blah, blah, blah? Like they either, like, joke about it or, like, they just say, like, a genuine, like, thing. But it's like, That's like, but one of the big things, like, they keep saying, like, oh, the song is so sad, the song is so depressing. It's just like, guys, it's not. That song is not depressing at all. Like, I'll listen to the song all the time. I'll listen to it when I'm, like, happy. I'll listen to it when I'm, like, just want to hear a good song. Yes, and sometimes I'll listen to it when I'm sad. But when I do, I cheer up. The song is inspirational. Like, literally, go back to the song and listen to the lyrics. Like, pay attention to the lyrics. Literally, listen to the lyrics. The song is literally, wake me up inside. I can't wake me up inside. Save me, call my name, and save me from the dark. The song is literally about a woman trying to be saved. She's falling down this hole, and she doesn't want to. She's trying to get out of the hole. That's an inspirational song, not a sad song. A sad song would be her falling down the hole and then never getting out. But she's trying to get out. She's fighting to get out. But to get back on, like, the actual relevant stuff, like, it's slightly related, but, like, let's get back to the actual real stuff about it. Like, it's the same thing about like, nihilism. Like, some people go like, oh, well, nihilism, isn't that sad? Like, that there is no, like, magic guy saving the day, that there is no, like, meaning in life. Like, isn't that sad to you? And it's just like, I flip it back to you. It's like, wouldn't it be more depressing if there was a deeper meaning of life? Because given the fact that all the bad guys seem to be winning right now, wouldn't the meaning of life then just not be evil? Like, literally, like, if the whole point of, like, meaning of life is, like, if you do this, or, like, you do a certain thing, you'll be rewarded. If there's, like, looking for deeper meaning of life, like, doesn't that mean Elon Musk has figured out the meaning of life and we should be acting more like him? Like, he's the one winning in this scenario. So if you think that there is a deeper meaning in life, we should be all emulating Elon Musk. That would be the theory. We should be emulating Benjamin Netanyahu. We should be emulating all these horrible, disgusting human beings. We should be emulating them. Similar to the God question, like, I just gotta be real. It's like, if you think there is I'm just saying, like, God has to be evil. Like, he has to be evil if that's the case. Like, if he's real, then their only belief system you can have is that there's a vengeful, evil God who wants to smite people for no reason. You can't believe in, like, the happy, like, oh, Jesus loves you, Jesus is happy, like, you can't believe in that, and then also be like, oh yeah, this kid getting a brain tumor and dying horribly, yeah, that just, those two things can't coexist in my mind. Like, when the fucking, like, people, like, go, like, oh, well, when people use God to, like, justify their wars and stuff, they're at least open to the fact that their God wants to murder people. They're open to that fact. Their belief is, like, they're channeling God and they're doing the act of God. That's what they're doing. That's what they believe. That's their belief system. But if you have a belief system of, like, God or Jesus or whatever, or, like, Muhammad or Allah or, like, whatever, Yahweh, or if you have a belief system in any of that, but then you also disagree and you don't like the systems that are in place, then it's like, why is your God, like, letting these systems be around? Why does your God let good people, like, die very young and, like, not, like, let people, like literally, let's say, like, it just don't make no sense to me. Che Guevara, Emiliano Zapata, John Brown, Fred Hampton, they all fought tooth and nail to fight for the disadvantaged, fighting to help the helpless, fighting to make sure that the people on top have actual, like, that they have to actually do things to help the common man. And they got murdered for it. Literally, Fred Hampton got ganked in his fucking sleep. And he didn't even do anything violent. He fed children in his homes. He literally was, like, trying to help people in non-violent measures. He was literally just, he was doing two things. One, he was literally, like, doing the constitutionally, legally allowed having of guns, and also was feeding children in his homes, and he got murdered for it. Meanwhile, Henry Kissinger murdered thousands of people who did nothing wrong and got to live to the ripe old age of 100. Now, you could unironically believe that the meaning of life is doing evil and doing bad things and making people's lives worse. Or you could believe that there really isn't a deeper meaning of life. There's no moral arbiter judging what's right and wrong, and life's just kind of like that. Like, yeah, that's just the thing. You can either believe that there's like a plan, there's a plan that some dude's sitting in the cloud and planning that, oh yeah, I have this big grand plan that's going to make the world a better place. And that plan involves like literal genocides and murders and like children with brain tumors and like rape and pillaging and like all this and like you can believe that, or you can just accept that life isn't like that. That you can do you can go to church every Sunday, you can like eat your greens and veggies, you can donate to charity, you can like do no harm and like be happy, have a loving wife and kids, and then one day randomly wake up and be like, man, I got this really sore neck, and then go to the doctor and be like, oh yeah, you have a massive tumor in your neck and you're going to die. But doc, I didn't smoke, I didn't like, I did everything right. Shit happens, man. And yeah, I won't deny, it can sometimes be sad to hear that. You know, it does feel bad knowing that the objectively worst people in life can still prosper, and good doesn't automatically win. But does that not at the very least make you go, well, if justice isn't guaranteed, if this isn't like guaranteed in life, then maybe we should fight for it. Our world is broken, and maybe we should try and fix it. There's another song that I kind of listen to that is really good, and it kind of relates to like certain things in regards to this. It's called Glory Hallelujah by the singer Frank Turner. And it's really good, and it's because it gets like a point across, and, you know, judging by the title of the song, it also relates to, you know, the obvious one, religion. I think it's the third verse of the song, I think, where it's like basically the point of the song is like he's basically just like a guy basically being like it's basically a guy admitting that there is no God or whatever, and then he's like trying to get everyone to like be happy about it. And then one verse that's really good is just like this one. It's where it's like, I know you're scared of dying, man, and I am too, but just pretending it's not happening isn't going to see us through. If we accept that there's an end game and we haven't got much time, then in the here and now we can try and do things right. We'd be our own Salvation Army, and together we'd believe in all the wondrous things that mere mortals can achieve. Like, that's the thing. It's like, that's the belief system that a lot of people have. Like, it's like a lot of religious people have that belief system. Like, oh, I have to do good in this lifetime so I can be rewarded in the next lifetime. Meanwhile, I go, I don't think there is a next lifetime. I don't think there will be a reward waiting for me. I do good because I want to do good and make lives better for people currently. Since there is no better lifetime, then there needs to be a solution in this current lifetime. This only time. We only get one chance. That's the beauty of it all. Like, I mean, like, and again, like, it's like some people go, like, well, isn't that sad? No, it's beautiful. It's beautiful that I exist. That's beautiful. That of all the likely scenarios that could have happened, I could have, like, missed the egg. I could have been a stillborn. I could have died in childbirth. I could have gotten a disease and died very young. My appendix could have ruptured and I could have died right then. And it's not guaranteed in the future. I could drink bad water and get, like, a disease and die. I could, like, again, my appendix could rupture. I could go to a place and die in a mass shooting. A building could collapse on me tomorrow. Like, that's the thing. All these things could happen to me. Which is why you gotta spend your life doing the things you want. Doing the things that make you happy. Doing the things that make you have meaning. Because you only got one shot. And you can't fuck it up. And if you do, well, that's just how it is. You fucked up once. Try not to fuck up again. I know some people might be like, you keep conflating atheism and nihilism. And it's like, no, they're not the same, obviously. But, like, to me, they're very similar concepts. To me, like, again, both of them are just accepting reality for what it is. No deeper meaning, no God, etc. And so what? You think that's sad? I think it's freeing. It's happy. Like, I'm no longer chained down by those restrictions. And I don't have to follow someone else's morality. I don't have to follow their rules. I can do my own rules. Speaking of, that's another element associated with nihilism that is somewhat, like, again, relative. Like, moral and factual relativism. Like, are they real? Like, what are they? Basically, like, the terms are basically just, like, very simple. Moral and factual relativism. Like, there's, like, relativity in regards to people's moralities, and there's relativism in regards to people's facts. And I could say for 100% certainty, moral relativism is very obviously true. I mean, prior to 2024, I guarantee you a vast majority of Americans would have said pedophilia is a disqualifier to be the US president. And yet 77,302,580 people seemed fine overlooking that. Meanwhile, I kind of get what factual relativism is trying to say, but I still would think that there is objective truth. Like, some people have tried to debate me on this. It's like, I think that ultimately at the end of the day, there is objective truth. The matter is whether or not you accept it or not. Like, things like time are to an extent relative, but they're based on like real things. Like, ultimately, like it's like the thing about like, it's a social construct versus like what it's like the contrast between like, it's a social, like, gender is a social construct, but then also it's like whatever. It's like they're not complete, like, race as being a social construct or whatever, and race being like a biological thing are not two mutually exclusive things to me. Yes, race has obviously a biological element in regards to it, but also, clearly, like, the social constructs in regards to how we view race and stuff are not universal. Whether or not you call a specific incident in history a genocide doesn't change the fact that people still got, like, massively murdered on a massive scale. Funnily enough, the term genocide itself was actually created to be somewhat factually relativist, so that what happened to the Native Americans wouldn't qualify. That way, Britain and the US would get off the hook. See, even in that time period, the good that came was pulled back a tad. In a normal, just society, what would have happened after the biggest war in US history, in world history, would have been that the people who supported those ideas that started the war would be shunned, and the rest of the world would come together, regardless of like their broader philosophical differences, try to maybe hash out some problems in regards to how things were in the past, and then maybe move towards a better common ground future. But as we know, that clearly did not end up happening. Back to the misunderstanding of nihilism part, I want to also go a little bit interesting, because it's not just the opponents of nihilism that want to misrepresent it, because also, as I mentioned before, due to how they push the term nihilism onto people, they also kind of make it so that the people who do follow nihilism kind of get pushed into thinking, nihilism is this, because all these people say it's this, so I will then do this. But also, again, some of the arguments and ideas of nihilism are a little bit easy to misread. The new atheist movement is very much associated with nihilism to an extent, and we happen to know how a lot of them went from left-of-center rationalists to falling down the far-right rabbit hole, which you might go, well, that's a little bit weird. How can you still be a nihilist and then just have this massive, shift? If you know it, now that I know a little bit about nihilism, it actually does make sense, because, one of the big things about it was that, with God, because this is one of the big things about, nihilism, and to an extent, nihilism, to an extent, is kind of, meant to kind of, at least the way it's presented is sort of, it will transcend ideologies, to an extent, the idea is, a good, smart, enlightened person the Ubermensch will be able to come together and, will be able to, go regardless of ideology, will be able to transcend ideology or whatever. But in reality, what ended up happening is that these new atheist groups, these new atheist individuals, like Dawkins and a couple of other people like Sargon or whatever, they killed God in their lives, but they didn't actually replace the values they instilled, but just removed the morality that came with it. They just stopped caring about, being a good person and being nice, and instead just decided to drift down into a far-right rabbit hole, obviously. Which also makes sense considering the Nietzschean influence on a certain other group of far-right people that we just gotta get through this. Sadly, to an extent, the Nazis claimed that Nietzsche represented their philosophical outlook. Granted, a lot of that really does stem from the fact that Nietzsche's sister deliberately chose to espouse the worst way to interpret his work in order to keep his work in good graces with Hitler. We are the Ubermensch, right, Miss Nietzsche? Why, yes, of course. It's not an abstract philosophical question. He meant it in actual literal context. Although, also ignore the fact that Nietzsche literally said that all anti-Semites ought to be shot, and that literally at the end of his life, he went nuts and denounced his German citizenship. Just ignore that part. But, You guys get to claim that Hitler didn't have any relation to Catholicism and was actually like a secret atheist the whole time. So yeah, I can also explain that, like, you know, shock of all shocks, Hitler probably didn't actually have any actual coherent philosophy and was just kind of like fascism is not a coherent ideology. It's just a bunch of like 12-year-old boys who get too pissy and become adults. So yeah, hopefully this video gave you at least somewhat of an understanding of nihilism. Maybe you've all become nihilists too. But again, to recap, I don't think that being a nihilist means that, we all have to be sad and give up. Far from it. I think accepting that the world as it is not good, and that we need to fight to change it, is the fuel, the fire that we need to get into a good position where we can actually start, doing good in the world. It's actually the contrast, to me, it's kind of the contrast. It's just the contrast to me that, the world isn't going to be happy on the door. Like, the world, you're not going to get saved immediately by doing nothing. You have to actually put in work to do good things for you, yourself, your friends, your family, and everyone else in the society. That's pretty much all I gotta say, so thanks for watching this video. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and click that bell to find out future video when it comes out. And if you want more content from me, consider supporting me on Patreon.